Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing this Chevy Silverado LT with the Duramax, and in today's video, I'm going to be explaining why the Chevy Silverado is Pickup Truck of the Year. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Jerry Signer Chevy here in Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me some time with this Silverado. I'm going to include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering this truck is the 3-liter inline-6 Duramax diesel that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 22 around town and then 27 on the highway, with power outputs being 305 horsepower and then 495 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood itself, you guys can see you've got kind of like the raised section there and also in the middle, and of course we've got the Duramax badge. Coming down below, you guys can see the headlight design here. I think that looks really cool, and I love the trim piece off to the side. And then notice how you've got blacked out elements on the grille, but you also have some chrome, and of course the signature Chevy bow tie. Tow hooks here at the bottom with more chrome on the bottom of the bumper. And putting it all together, I think that this new refreshed Silverado looks really sharp. Coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 265, 65, 18 in the front and over in the rear. And if you look at the wheels, you guys can see again silver to kind of match the rest of the theme of this truck, and got these nice all-terrain tires, so that is great. And the reason why we have all-terrain tires is because Z71 package. Anyways, we also have some splash guard action, chrome on the mirrors, body painted door handles. And when you put it all together, this has a really cool side profile. I like all the body lines and the fenders, they pop out just a little bit. And looking in the back, you guys can see we've got leaf springs. Old-fashioned, but reliable. Now you guys can see here on the key fob, we have our unlock function or lock function, remote start, the tailgate drop down, and then Chevy bow tie in the back. Now taking a look at the bed, you guys can see we've got protection from the factory. We also have some LED bed light action. We've got a handle because this one has the multi-flex. And we have an outlet here in the bed as well. And for those of you wondering about the multi-flex, just press that button and it'll pop this down. You got this whole step system to pop up into the bed. And then putting away is really easy. You just have to fold that up and then just lift all of it up in one motion. And then we've got all of our badges here on the back. You can see the taillights here. Got the bumper steps as well, and then you've got these squeezed exhaust tips. And putting it all together, let me know what you guys think about the looks here of the Silverado. Now taking a look at the door panel, you guys can see here with the wood trim at the top, look at the silver trim down below that, and then really nice stitching all over, some nice padding as well. Now with the LT, we do have cloth. You can upgrade to leather seats with this, or you can get an LTZ, which comes with the leather as standard. And then you do have some nice storage under the seat, flat loading floor. Legroom here in the back is really good. We also have a storage pocket. We got some vents back here, some charging port action, all of that. And then header back here is also good. Now I will knock this truck for one thing, and that's the fact that it doesn't have a power sliding window. I think that should be standard. Now taking a look at the front door panel, soft touch here, and then you guys can see again with the wood trim, the silver trim, and then the double stack design. All of our window controls. Front one is automatic, get your mirror adjustments, door lock and unlock, and then you do have a convex mirror to help out with visibility. Now payload with this truck is 1,691 pounds, and then popping down, we've got 9,000 pounds of towing capacity. Now one thing I will knock Chevy for is the fact they don't let you get Z71 plus max trailering. I think those should be able to happen with each other because some people need to tow a lot and off-road. Anyways, here's the front seat. You guys can see cloth, and then you got your power adjustments on the side. Parking brake here. We've got a drive line select. We've got 4-wheel auto, 4-wheel high, 2-wheel high, and then 4-wheel low. And then drive mode select is built in with a tow haul mode. Light controls right there as well. Now taking a look at the steering wheel, soft touch all around. We do have radio controls on the back of the steering wheel. You got some practical controls for the center screen, and you got stuff like your cruise control as well as the heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel. Turn signal / windshield wiper stock, and then we got a good old-fashioned column shifter with plus and minus on it to shift the gears yourself. Now I've got this full digital gauge cluster here in the center. I think it looks really sharp. And when you change the drive modes, you can see tow haul mode pops up, and then you also have the sport mode and then the off-road mode that you can switch between as well. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and you got that little center line, which is also kind of cool. And resolution, by the way, is actually pretty dang solid. Now as for the rest of the infotainment screen itself, first off, we'll kind of swipe that away. But you guys can see response time with this is really solid. Got a shortcut bar here on the side, which makes things quite a bit easier with accessing everything. Some more analog controls for the infotainment screen. We've got our lane departure here, auto stop start, tailgate drop down, hazard lights, stability control, hill descent control as well. Trailer brake controls integrated from the factory. Dual zone climate with heated seats, some USB action. And while we're over here, you can see we've got some double glove box action, which is nice. Got some stitching on the top. And by the way, that soft touch is also on the dash. Now in the center, this also has a bench seat, so storage on the top, pulls up to be a seat, and then you also have more storage down below as well, so multi-purpose. Now here's a bonus sticker for this LT. You guys can see base MSRP is $53,700. Duramax engine is an upgrade that cost a bit, and so is the Z71 package, but I think they're well worth it. Anyways, after all options, this sticker's for $60,365, which is about $5,000 to $7,000 less expensive than the equivalent Ram or Ford. Let's sum things up. Let's set off on our maiden voyage, not really maiden voyage, but I guess maiden voyage in this particular truck, and talk about why the Chevy Silverado, and more specifically, I think like packaging like this in the Silverado, makes this truck of the year. Because that is a bold claim, because obviously you know, the paid off magazines and everything will claim that stuff like the Ford F-150 Lightning, all that kind of stuff, is truck of the year, and that is just complete rubbish. A truck that can't tow for more than 50 miles without needing a charge is truck of the year, whatever. Anyways, here's the deal. What Chevy has done here, I think, is fantastic, and it kind of spits in the faces of Ram and Ford, and here's why. So first off, you know, exterior styling, that's obviously always going to come up to personal preference, right? Whether you like, you know, the Chevy styling, GMC styling, Ford, Toyota, Ram, so on and so forth. But what I will say is, I think the Chevy's modern styling is fine. Like, I think it's a good looking truck. Like, you know, some people complained about this style when it was first released, but now it seems like people actually really like it. So I think the style's fine. And then when it comes to the interior, Chevy's done a really good job with making the interior feel upscale, even in lower end packages. Again, an LT is kind of, it's not a quite base, it's above base, but it's not a fully loaded truck by any means, yet soft touch all over the dash, on the door panel. Like, this is, you know, again, it's not like a luxury interior, but it feels more upscale. This doesn't feel like a work truck. So I think they've done a really good job with that. And then when it comes to powertrains, they offer so many. You've got the 2.7 turbo, right? You've got the 5.3, you've got the 6.2, and you have this Duramax. And this Duramax, in my opinion, is the best powertrain in a half-ton truck in today's market, because it's been shown to be reliable, it's also fuel efficient, and it's powerful, and it's a diesel, right? You can't get a diesel with any other truck. The eco diesel, right, that was a thing for a little bit, but obviously, you know, Ram's decided that they don't want to produce that anymore. It doesn't make sense. So I think that's a big factor. And on top of that, when you look at the features this has compared to Ram and Ford, it really shines. So I've got a power seat, I have a full digital gauge cluster, I also have a big infotainment system, whereas, you know, with Ford, you've got to get a Lariat, not to get the big infotainment system, but to get the full digital gauge cluster. So it's like you gotta pay more. And then, you know, you look at Ram, they don't even offer a digital gauge cluster with anything below like special like a Rebel, or you have to get Laramie with the what's it called, the GT package. Like, so you have to do like all this special packaging and everything just to get the again, the full digital gauge cluster. So it's like Chevy's giving this at a much lower cost of entry, if that makes sense. And then it drives really well. That's why we are driving it, so I can kind of show you guys the driving dynamics with the truck. But it handles well. It does have a bigger, heavier feel, but I mean, it's a pickup truck at the end of the day. It's supposed to have that feel. And again, this diesel powertrain is super smooth. The 10-speed, you can get it with the 5.3, you can get it paired to the 6.2. It's also really smooth with both those powertrains as well. And I mean, Chevy offers 2 different V8s. What other automaker offers 2 different V8s with their half-ton pickup truck? That's also, I think, a big plus towards Chevy. And then you go to the price. This sticker's for $60,000, but yeah, that's a lot of money. But you look at a Ford XLT, 65, 67 grand, 70 grand, depending on how many options you add to them. You look at a Ram Bighorn, same thing. It's like, you know, unless you get you can get a Bighorn that's like 60 grand, but it has way less options than this. So the price per option value here is really strong. The only other truck makers that are in line with Chevy when it comes to price per value is Toyota and Nissan. Nissan's probably the best in the truck industry right now, and the Nissan Titan is super underrated in my opinion. And then with Toyota, again, similar, but the one thing with Toyota is you can only get a twin turbo V6 in the new Tundra, and that, or the twin turbo V6 with a hybrid. There is no, you know, naturally aspirated engine. So for all those, and the Toyota Tundra has like no payload. That's the other problem with the Nissan Titan, is the payload's pretty weak with that truck as well. This has good payload. So when you put all of that together, diesel powertrain plus pricing plus the options you get plus the capabilities that this truck has, and I think that it becomes very apparent as to why this is, in today's market, the best truck to go for. And it's kind of interesting because it used to be Ram used to be the favorite, but Rams jacked up their prices so much, Ford's jacked up their prices so much, and they've jacked up their prices without offering more options. It's like they're asking us to pay more for less. So I want you guys to let me know your thoughts on this video with me voting the Chevy Silverado's truck of the year. And I know some people are gonna ask, well, does that mean the GMC Sierra's truck of the year? And my answer is no, just simply because the GMC Sierra is too similar to the Chevy Silverado, and it's just more expensive. Like, you're literally just paying for different looking sheet metal, different exterior styling, and you're paying a lot, like 5 to 10 grand more is the price premium for a GMC. So the value proposition isn't as strong with the GMC brand. Don't get me wrong, I like the trucks, but the value proposition isn't as strong. But anyways, let me know if you agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, what truck do you think is the real truck of the year?